Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. This is actually part of a playlist of me trying to learn the top 100 cryptocurrencies from the CoinMarketCap website. I welcome you to join me in this journey, as well as me doing live videos on news stories that happen on a daily basis. Click the subscribe button down below, and you can also click the little bell notification to get live updates of when I go live. And you can actually jump in, and I encourage you to be part of the Team Glen live chat that we have going during the live content. If you like this style of content, give this video a thumbs up. Also comment down below any thoughts that you may have of anything that I've said in this video. You can also follow me outside of the YouTube comment section on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, all with the name Glen. Or if you really want to be part of Team Glen, you can actually join in the Telegram group chat, which is in the description down below. Follow that link and you'll be able to chat to me as well as all the other guys that have followed me since the beginning of this journey. And if you really want to help support me and this channel grow, I'm not trying to shill or sell any coins in particular. I'm actually trying to support myself using the Team Glen brand that me and Team Glen helped design together, and we actually have a website called teambitglen.com, so head over to there and purchase a piece of merchandise if it tickles your fancy. So let's get into the main content of today. Hey guys, today we're going to be discussing Ripple, which is the third largest cryptocurrency according to CoinMarketCap as of recording this video. Before I get into my thoughts and conclusions on Ripple, there's a couple of things that you may not know about Ripple that I'll try and explain as best I can. There's actually two sides to Ripple. You have Ripple, the currency, which is also known as XRP, and there's also Ripple Labs, which is a company which predominantly oversee, develop and actually help confirm the transactions for Ripple, and they're also the largest holder of tokens. Now this creates a lot of controversy because a lot of people say, oh, Ripple's centralized as opposed to decentralized, which is really the whole premise of cryptocurrencies, in particular Bitcoin. So they seem very centralized and also a majority shareholder of the coin. So if they wanted to, they could manipulate the price of the coin. And predominantly what I'm talking about is they could dump all their coins at any time and it would dramatically drop the price of Ripple. Now this obviously creates a sort of bad taste, mistrust. So if you're going to invest in Ripple, you have to sort of look at the team and also the company Ripple Labs as to whether you believe them to be trustworthy or not. Now I'm not saying they're not. It's actually made me realise, looking into Ripple today, that because of their key business model, which is a form of an exchange between one bank from one side of the world to the other with very quick confirmation times, we're talking 2.5–3 seconds, and very cheap transaction costs, because it's actually Ripple Labs that are confirming the transaction, not a load of miners dotted about all over the world with their computers. It's actually Ripple Labs that are helping confirm these transactions, and they're also receiving the actual transaction fee. Their whole business model is designed on having the utmost integrity and trust. And what I mean by that is because their key customers are going to be banks. Banks are looking at cryptocurrencies and saying, right, we can't be associated with some sort of scam or Ponzi scheme, you know, as we've seen with cryptocurrencies. So they're sort of holding back and they're waiting, right, okay, once you're regulated, what you're offering is very good and it could help us and it would save us money and save the customer money. It would be a better experience for everyone around the world. We need to wait until you're more regulated. We need to wait until this thing works. Can it be hacked? Can it be misused in some way? Are you just going to dump your coin all of a sudden? So it's actually in Ripple's best interest to remain the highest levels of integrity and transparency and regulation. Otherwise no one's going to use them. And if the banks don't use them, then there's really no inherent worth to Ripple. Now Ripple, the coin itself, is actually a peer-to-peer money sharing platform. It's the same Bitcoin. So you can actually, I could send my friend Dave, XRP coin, and then he can exchange that for whatever he wants at that point, depending on what exchanges he uses. The stage we're in cryptocurrency at the moment, if there was bad press, bad view on Ripple, and they were deemed not to be worthy of working with banks, their coin would be worth hardly anything. And also the amount of coin that they actually have, if we have a look at coin market cap, Ripple actually has a large amount of supply. Now they're saying that the maximum supply, 100 billion coins, which obviously is a huge amount of coins. And it's actually Ripple Labs that own the majority of that token. Now obviously if they was to sell a majority of their coin, it's going to make the price of it drop down. So therefore it's not in their best interest to sell a load all at one time. It'd be their best interest to sell dribs and drabs as they went along, which I'll get into that a bit later. So you can see here there's a few things going on here that obviously would make people say, oh, Anong, I don't trust that, I don't like that. But that's just because of the way that the Ripple protocol was created. It has to be done this way for it to operate at the optimal level that they want it to operate for these banks. Now the key thing to Ripple is that they are suggesting that they can exchange anything that has an inherent worth to someone else across the other side of the world for something that they want. Now before I look at this, is a little fun fact. Ripple actually is concept of it is to do with water, hence the name Ripple. Obviously Ripple's in water, but if you actually look at their different processes, they actually name them after things to do with water. So you have X Current, which is a bank's use of global payments for their customers. X Rapid, which is a process where people can make any source of value very liquid. They could sell it and buy it very quickly and from person to person. And then you have X Via, which is business use for RippleNet to send payments. So more of a business level way of sending and confirming transactions. So they're heavily based around water. I didn't know that until today, but yeah, they want to be super high level of liquidity. They're saying that it's not just currencies. So obviously the first thing we think of is, oh, I want to convert British pounds into US dollar. There's lots of exchange websites that will probably do that for you quite quickly and quite cheaply and securely, but we're talking more sort of someone in, say, I don't know, that runs off Ugandan dollars. He may want to buy something from someone in Zimbabwe or I don't know, Iraq through their currency, and at the moment he would have to make several hops, they call it. So obviously he would just go to his bank and say, I want to send money to this person, here's their international bank number. Their bank would have to say, right, okay, we'll send the money, the Ugandan dollars, if that is a real currency. I'm sorry if I've got that wrong. He would send that to the bank. The bank would then have to say, right, we're going to have to convert from Ugandan dollars into US dollar, then from US dollar to some money in Dubai, and then from Dubai into the Iraqi dollar, whatever they have. Sorry. That's sort of 4 hops, if you like. And each one of those hops, there's an intermediary that's going to take their cut. So if the person sending wants to send the 1,000 Ugandan dollars, they're going to have to include obviously all of those transaction fees. So the actual price their bank may quote them in the end may be something like 1,400 Ugandan dollars to cover the fees, so that the end user receives the $1,000 worth. Hope that makes sense. What Ripple are trying to achieve is one hop. So you would convert your Ugandan dollars into Ripple, send the Ripple, or the bank would do it for you. The person in Iraq would receive the Ripple, and their bank would just show it as the Iraqi dollar or whatever their currency is. This is a video that they've got on their official website. You can see here that they want to make a very quick process, and what they want to achieve is they want to achieve you and me as customers not even knowing we're using Ripple. That might sound a bit crazy, but they want this to be sort of a base level protocol that's going to be built into banks and apps going forward, so that we don't know it's happening, because it would make the user experience so much better and faster. And what I mean by that is, all you would type in is you want to send 1,000 Ugandan dollars. It would come up saying 1,002 Ugandan dollars because of the $2 fee, as an example. And then they're going to receive obviously their equivalent of their currency their end. They're not going to see the exchange between Ripple. This is between banks on a base level. Now this is really clever, because this enhances a user experience. I've tried sending money using Western Union in the past, and it turned out to be a scam. I won't get into that, but the actual experience wasn't that good. It took 5 to 10 working days. There was high fees. I weren't too sure where the money was going. Whereas Ripple, obviously using this transaction, in theory, I would just be sending that person the money directly. I wouldn't see the protocol of Ripple happening underneath. So obviously there's only that one hop. They're saying they can confirm transactions within about 2.5 to 3 seconds. They've got a super high amount of coin to go about. Plus obviously there's 100 billion, and then you've got the decimal points as well. So, you know, the amount of Ripple that could be sent about is huge. Value of Ripple is with these processes here, not so much the coin. But obviously as Ripple becomes a more well-known brand and more used, inherently their coin, their XRP, is going to go up in value as well. And here's where the major value increase is going to be. So every time they announce a new partner or a bank using Ripple, and here's another key point, not only do you have to have the bank, one bank, say my bank here, which is Halifax, or Barclays is more well known. A Barclays bank, let's say they've signed up to Ripple. If they're going to send the money to Uganda, the Ugandan Bank of whatever, the Bank of Uganda, that would also have to have the Ripple system in place for them to be able to communicate and obviously send the money together. So this is going to take a mass adoption of different banks from all over the world for it to work, and that is where the inherent value of Ripple is going to be. That is when the price will skyrocket. We saw earlier this year, the end of last year, Ripple skyrocketed in price. You can see here it shot all the way up, and I remember I was in Florida actually vlogging my cryptocurrency journey at the time. It went up to about $3.50 per coin, which when you obviously work out, there's a circulating supply of 39 billion at the moment, but really there's a maximum supply of 100 billion. That's a lot of money. It instantly made Chris Larsen, the CEO of Ripple, if not the richest man in the world. If you was to look at it in terms of if he sold all his coin that day when it was at that price and it stayed that price, then he would be the richest man in the world. He couldn't do this, one, because if he dumped all of a sudden 60 billion Ripple on the world, the price would just plummet anyway, so he wouldn't actually receive that full amount. And also obviously it would kill the coin off, because then there would be this level of mistrust. Ripple Labs, they actually have a process in place, an escrow if you like, where they could sell $80 billion worth of Ripple, but they're not going to. This is an article on CNBC. I'll put it in the description of the video below. But it's saying here that they're only going to sell so much Ripple XRP per year if need be. So they're not just going to do it for no reason. So they're raising a certain amount of money to improve Ripple, or they're saying they're aggressively employing new people, cryptographers and developers, and also sales people to go out to these banks and say, look, use this system. It's very, you need people power for that to happen. So this begs the question, will a currency actually perform better if it was more centralized? Because obviously you've got all this, all of a sudden they could spend money on marketing, people, developers, hardware, software, salesmen. They could have this massive team of people And as long as the core values of the company are right and they're doing the right thing, they're not trying to scam people, obviously it's going to rapidly grow pretty quickly, because there's a lot more movement, there's a lot more things going on. Whereas, say, Bitcoin's released out into the wild and it's up to people whether they use it or not. You have to sort of really research it yourself. There is no marketing for Bitcoin. There is no person on the ground trying to explain. Well, there are, but they're doing it off their own back. Whereas obviously Ripple can afford to do it themselves. But this obviously creates a lot of panic, because a lot of people think, well, how much they release it once a quarter. So they're saying, well, what if they decide, right now we're going to dump 20 billion Ripple tokens? Obviously the price is going to plummet and everyone's investment is going to go down. So you have to have a level of trust with the team of Ripple Labs and also the CEOs. So this brought me on to Chris Larsen. Watched a few of his videos, listened to him talk at seminars and stuff like that. And he seems like a legitimate businessman, and also wants to sort of change the world, which is great. Thumbs up, you know. He's done some great things in the past. He's actually been in the space since 1996, and this was doing peer-to-peer lending. He was using an online mortgage e-loan company. So you can see here from an early stage, he was really geared up for cryptocurrencies to come about. And he actually says in one of his videos, soon as Bitcoin solved the double spend issue using mathematical equations, he said that was in his mind. He thought, right, we can do that, but we can do it from bank to bank, as opposed to just being a store of value, which he was saying Bitcoin is. XRP can be super liquidified. It can be used by the banks to obviously create this one hop, only one transaction to confirm the store of value of things and be sent from one bank to another with very low fees. So he obviously thought that quite early on, and also he did this with another gentleman. There was two CEOs. They created Ripple together. The other gentleman actually he came from Mt. Gox, and he looked at Bitcoin and said, actually Bitcoin costs quite a lot to make. If you take in the miner fees and the cost of hardware and also the electricity costs, it's actually really expensive to produce a Bitcoin continuously. So he decided with Chris Larsen to create this Ripple coin that was super cheap and easy to make. And now Chris Larsen has actually stepped down as the CEO. He's still part of the company as a chairman, but it's actually been taken over by Brad Garlinghouse. He apparently was the driving force as well behind some of the development of Ripple at the early stages, so he stepped up to be the CEO, and he talks about how he's actually a big fan of Bitcoin himself as well, and he hopes that Bitcoin does really well, and obviously he's got his own coin to worry about as well, which is Ripple. Yeah, from what I've seen, it's actually changed my perspective and opinion on Ripple, but obviously because it is so centralized, you do have to worry about, okay, right, I've been sold by Chris Larsen, I'm in on the project. And then obviously I found out, oh, he stepped down a year ago. Oh, so who's this new guy, Brad? And what does he want to do? And what's he going to do with the coin? And what's he going to do with all this holdings of it? So now I have to have trust in him. And what if he steps down and then someone else takes over? You have to have a high level of trust and always be in the know of what's going on with Ripple. So this can be obviously a downside. Garlinghouse said, I'm honoured to step into the role of CEO of Ripple, and I'm grateful to work so closely with the visionary like Chris. I look forward to continuing to work with Chris and on the board to set the strategic direction of the company. I could not have asked for a more talented, driven and creative group of people here at Ripple to work with side by side every day. I continue to be impressed by what this team has accomplished and look forward to taking Ripple to the next phase of growth. So he's taken the helms of Ripple with Chris Larsen obviously still there, sort of giving strategic input, which is good to hear. Obviously he's still part of the team. But again, obviously you just need to keep on top of this. Obviously this was a year ago, we're now in April 2018 as of recording this video, so let's hope that obviously this Garlinghouse, trustworthy, legit guy, and he does the best thing for the community and also obviously for the Ripple token. Another thing that they've also done is, because someone commented on one of my YouTube videos once saying, oh, the creator of Ripple gave loads of his Ripple tokens to charity. And I thought, oh, that's quite an honourable thing to do, I suppose. But actually, what he's done is he wanted to get Ripple out there, like an airdrop, if you like. But rather than just setting up a wallet and receiving Ripple for free, they actually joined up with IBM, joined a charity called the World Community Grid. Now, this is meant to be a charity where if my computer, say, was idle, I weren't doing anything with it, I just surfed the internet and I didn't come back to it. You can download this software from IBM, and what it will do is it will use a bit of your computer's processing power, and it will do that with millions and millions of other people all around the world to create this mass amount of power which can be used for charitable purposes like cancer research, AIDS. You can go on their website and check out all the different projects they on. And what they were doing is they were giving XRP tokens to people who provided their computer in power to this. So say if I used my laptop 100%, I would receive so many XRP a day. I suppose like mining, but you're not actually mining, you're just giving your power to a charity and you're receiving XRP as a reward for helping a charity out. This is a really honourable thing to do. I've never heard of a company doing this on such a grand scale. They're actually paying you, in theory, to help a charity, which I think is fantastic. That's great work, and it just goes to show another level that cryptocurrency can provide, you know, without actually just it being a store of value. So well done to Ripple for doing that, and I really appreciate it. And you can check this website out, worldcommunitygrid.org. So that brings me on to obviously the price of Ripple. As I said, Ripple teamed up with MoneyGram at one point and their price skyrocketed, and then since then their price has actually dropped. The rumours are that I read somewhere online that over 70 banks around the world are actually testing, they're in testing phase of using the Ripple systems, the X Current and X Rapid. Now, if one of them decide, actually, Ripple have been super legit for, you know, 5-6 years now, their CEO seem, you know, like they're on the right path and they're doing the right thing. Obviously, the charity work helps. They've got all this liquidity in their coin. Yeah, do you know what? We're going to use Ripple. And once one bank accepts it and they actually, you know, the regulation is all secure and uptight, say from one country, a load of other banks are going to follow suit, and therefore obviously Ripple is going to be used by a lot of banks all around the world to do millions and millions of transactions, and then you're going to see probably the price of Ripple skyrocket. Now, something that is slightly misleading, they advertise on their website, the official website, these are the banks they have, so Standard Chartered, Santander, the Bank of Tokyo, MoneyGram, American Express. A lot of these banks are not using the XRP coin. They're using, say, this software XVIA or XRapid to do business-to-business transactions. It doesn't mean they're doing it on the grand scale, so it's slightly misleading. You know, you see Santander on their website and you think, oh wow, Santander are using Ripple, that's fantastic. They're not. They're business to business. Their e-commerce side of it is using a certain part of Ripple, but not the full token to send to other banks all around the world. So that is, you have to be a bit careful with what you read and what you see as to what's going on. Once obviously the major banks accept Ripple and regulation allows it to run alongside bank payments, the price of Ripple will skyrocket. So we just have to hope this Ripple Labs obviously are doing the right thing. And that's my main conclusion of Ripple. It's up to you. If you want to invest in Ripple, you have to look at Ripple Labs. And you have to look and say, okay, do I trust these guys? Do I believe in their strategic roadmap, their business plan, their business model? Do I trust that they're not going to dump their coins all in 1 year when things get tough? Do I trust the CEOs that they're not just going to take the money and run? And that is where obviously your investment decision is going to be. Based on what I've read today and seen today, it's actually changed my opinion of Ripple, I must say. If you've seen any of my live videos, I've actually said in the past, oh, I wouldn't touch Ripple with a barge pole. But actually, they've actually won me over today. Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, I've watched their videos, their interviews, and people asking them, look, you could do this, you could do that, and the answers they've give, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. So they've actually won me over. So at some point I will be buying some Ripple, whereas I would have thought I'd never say that before. I actually planned this video that I was gonna, not planned it, but I actually thought going into it I'm quite negative towards Ripple, and I've got to try and sway myself from, I want to be as unbiased as possible. But they've won me over. I actually believe in the project of Ripple now, and I think they have got some really interesting, they're doing things differently, but that's what we want to see in cryptocurrency. No one knows the one true way of doing it. Just because Bitcoin is doing it one way, which I agree with, I actually really like the business model of Bitcoin as such, but doesn't mean that's the be all and end all. Bitcoin is struggling with scaling, confirmation times, transaction fees. Ripple solves all of those at a very base level, but with that you have the downside that it's quite centralized. Once Bitcoin can do the things Ripple do, being decentralized, maybe we'll see Ripple fade away. But Ripple have got such a large advantage now because they've been working with banks and talking to the banks for so many years now. I actually watched a video of Chris Larsen on a YouTube interview at the beginning of 2014, and he was discussing where he think Ripple was going to go, and so far he was right. And now we're in April 2018, so he already predicted where Ripple was going to go 4 years ago. So that gives me obviously a lot of optimism for where they're going forward from now. The only negative thing that I would say, trying to be as unbiased as I can, they have been trying to get obviously major banks to accept their system, their Ripple process, for about 5 years now. There hasn't been much development from banks. Like, there hasn't been any major banks come out and say, yep, we're going to do this. So it makes me wonder, well, is it going to take another 5 years? Is it going to take 10 years? Is it going to take 15 years? And obviously that sort of puts a damper on Ripple, because if they haven't done it in the last 5 years, what's going to make them do it in the next 5 years? Obviously banks like charging high fees to customers. So eventually I see Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies almost not taking over banks, but replacing a large chunk of what banks do. And if I can send the guy in Uganda some Bitcoin, why would he go through the whole process of sending it through his bank for them to convert into Ripple to send to me? So unless Ripple can get a bank signed up pretty soon, because Ripple's Bitcoin's behind it, you know, with Lightning Network, Segwit transactions, they're behind chasing them. Bitcoin take that step forward, Ripple is going to really pull back, and they're going to say, well, yeah, we can do it now, and banks are going to say, well, look, Bitcoin's been doing it for the last 10 years. Like, why would we team up with you? So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. But I actually genuinely believe Ripple were trying to do the right thing and trying to keep it together. And I think they're on the right path. And if they can get these major banks to sign up to them, then we could even see Ripple pull ahead of Bitcoin, because then all of a sudden, if I can, this whole thing about banks being slow and charging high fees, if all of a sudden that changes and you've got your bank with your contactless bank card, and I can send someone in Uganda £20 and he receives it within 2 seconds, and then he can go into a shop and spend it himself, you know, then you could have the argument, well, what's the need for Bitcoin? I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but that's my honest take on it. We don't know. We don't know which one's going to pull ahead. So they're both doing it different ways. One centralized, one decentralized. Obviously, we'll see which one actually wins, you know, becomes the main forefront of cryptocurrencies going forward. So that's my take on Ripple. Please comment down below any thoughts that you have on Ripple. I know there's a lot of Ripple fanboys out there. I'm trying to be as unbiased and in the middle as I can be either side. So I'm looking at it from both point of views, point out the good and the bads that it could potentially have. Please don't take that I'm hating on one or the other. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And if you really want to support the channel, don't forget to head over to teambitglen.com. I'll see you on the next video. We will be looking at the 4th most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin Cash, which has a lot of controversy in itself. We'll get onto that on the next video. See you later, guys. Bye.